Hey kids. So, I told you that I would have new hair next time you saw me, and voila. So, I had an interesting conversation with Diglett last night about identity and kind of how we use our identity to interact with the world around us. Diglett had a very interesting perspective, and I think it's born mostly of his narrow-mindedness. So let me get into it. So, what Diglett talked about was how we put labels on ourselves that we identify with in order to experience the world around us, and how we use those labels to forecast how we might respond to a certain experience. Let me give an example. I am a person who identifies as banana adverse. I don't like bananas. I've never liked bananas since I was a little kid. I just don't like them. And so it would make sense that I wouldn't like banana bread or banana pudding or banana flavored candies. That would make sense. So Diglett says that we kind of put these labels on ourselves that have stipulations that restrict us as human beings from experiencing the world around us, from experiencing our lives to the fullest. And I think to a degree, that's right. But it depends on the kind of person that you are. So Diglett is a person who doesn't much care for labels, which I understand. But the labels that he does don are important to him as far as his external experience, how he experiences the world, rather than how it is for me, my internal experience. I do think that making a label for yourself, finding a label, can be very helpful to understanding who you are as a person. And conversely, for Diglett, it seems to be an important way to make distinctions on how you should act as a person. So his perspective is different and, to me, flawed. And the reason that I think it's flawed is because it projects onto me a definition of self that is incorrect. And he assumes that I, as a person who is asexual, have put on this label and decided to act as the label dictates, rather than the way that it actually happened is that I act a certain way and I found a label that fits the way that I act. He assumes that I'm fucking lazy, to be honest, that I've decided to allow this label to define any and all interactions with others, that I've allowed this label to tell me what I do and when I do it, when that couldn't be any farther from the truth. The label for me is a way to express my experience, not the other way around. And so it very much depends on the type of person that you are. I am very open-minded. So as a person who is asexual, I realize that I do enjoy porn. I do enjoy erotica. And not just for the artistic value. I enjoy it for its sensual, sexual value. That doesn't change, to me, my experience as an asexual person, because what asexuality is a lack of attraction sexually to other people. And so the act of sex to me is not enjoyable. and I don't feel sexually attracted to other people. And I think Diglett assumes that I haven't spent countless hours agonizing over who I am, dissecting my own identity down to the bare fucking bones in order to completely understand how it is that I function. Because I don't have the luxury of having myself reflected in the world around me. It's not like there's, all these asexual people running around explaining their experience. And it does make life easier when there are a lot of people like you around you having similar experiences to yourself to help you understand your own self. So I go back to bananas. I'm a person who doesn't like bananas. I fucking hate them. But every year I eat a banana because they're healthy, they're good for you, they're a really good snack. And I believe that people change and my taste changes, and I'm very open to it. Diglett isn't the same way. So if he's a person who identifies as a person that doesn't like bananas, he's never going to like bananas. But I'm different. I'm open. I don't like bananas, but I like banana bread. I like banana pudding. The way that you don a label, the way that you wear your label, imparts a certain amount of responsibility. If you're a person that decides to use a label, you need to be responsible to your own identity. And you need to reflect upon your own identity. So I would ask anyone watching to look inwardly and see whether or not you're wearing your labels or are your labels wearing you. I've spent countless hours thinking about who I am before even thinking about considering a label. I don't think there's many things that are more fucking annoying than having Diglett mansplaining myself to me. I find it fucking offensive that someone would assume that I am so impressionable, I am so lazy, that I would allow a label to dictate what I do as a person. Because he assumes that I'm wrong. He assumes that he knows me better than I know myself. Because, he feels what I feel. He experiences what I experience. And so I would ask you all to look into yourselves. Is what you label yourself as what you feel? Or are you acting as a person with a title? Are you allowing that label to define who you are? Just to dispel any misunderstanding or misgivings that a person might have about you and your authenticity. Be sure of it. Because at the end of the day, you only hurt yourself by restricting yourself to a certain way to act under a label. I find it kind of odd that a person would allow a label to define who they are, to delineate how they behave, because I am so adamant, I am so thoroughly understanding of who I am, that even despite a label, I'm going to continue being who I am. I'm not going to allow a label to tell me who I am. It's just there to communicate to the outside world who I am. And really, at the end of the day, that doesn't matter either, does it? Yeah. Identity is weird, but I think it's really important to hold yourself accountable to your own behaviors, to your own identity, to your own authenticity. rather than allowing what other people think of you to dictate what you do. Because I've spent most of my life being told who I am. And so I spend a lot of time thinking about who I am before deciding upon a label. And I would assume that a lot of people who have identities outside of the status quo do the same. And I think that people who identify with what is mainstream, I don't think they're lazy. But they don't have to do as much as we do. They don't. There's not as much thought put into it because it's spoon-fed to you. So whether or not you identify with the mainstream, think about it. Think about what labels you put on yourself. And what are those labels to you? What do they mean to you and your behavior? Because if you're doing something based on a label, you're not doing it right. You're not living your life. Yeah, I'll talk to you guys later.